Let me tell you about the winter, when a blizzard didn't just knock out my power, it tore off the last shreds of my patience and uncovered a kind of corruption you'd expect in some crime thriller, not a sleepy Texas suburb. So picture this. I roll up to my driveway, wind howling snow up to my knees, bone-tired after untangling a 12-car pileup on Highway 9. All I want is a hot shower, maybe a whiskey, maybe both. But the first thing I see isn't comfort, it's trouble. My backup generator, the one I trust to keep the lights on and the bad guys out. Gone. There's just empty space and a set of drag marks leading right to the street. Right then, something sharp like a rusty nail sticks in my gut. I know I'm not dealing with a regular neighborly spat. Now my security system's dark. My house is colder than a tax collector's heart. And across the street there she is, arms folded, smug as a cat with the canary feathers stuck to her chin. "Keep your ugly, noisy trash out of our upscale neighborhood, you welfare deadbeat," she says, eyes glinting with that brand of HOA venom you can't bottle or bury. If you ever tasted metal rage, that's what fills my mouth right then. What she doesn't know, what she can't even imagine, is that I'm not just some tired old blue-collar guy. I'm Earl Bachman, sheriff, voted in by the good people of Millfield County after 28 years on the street. But nobody in Pinewood Estates knows that. To them, I'm just the guy with the rusty F-150, the new face who doesn't mow his lawn at a 45-degree angle. After a brutal divorce, losing the house, losing time with my daughter Emma, I thought I'd found a quiet corner to lick my wounds and work on my truck. Turns out I parked right in the middle of a war zone. The first time I met Felicia Worthington 3 weeks in, she clicked over in heels, sharp enough to slice bread, smiling a smile that was all teeth and no warmth. She peered at my truck like it was leaking nuclear waste, then introduced herself as the HOA president, Felicia, with a BMW and a license plate that read Blessed One, which honestly should have tipped me off. She was blessed with the charm of a DMV clerk. She handed me a set of HOA guidelines thicker than my patience and made it real clear people like me weren't exactly what Pinewood Estates had in mind. Still, the storm is what kicked it all off. That first night generator missing, I trudge over to Felicia's door thinking maybe we could hash things out like adults. Instead, I get called a deadbeat to my face. Next morning, she's at it again, this time flanked by her board, 2 folks who look like they'd rather be anywhere but here. She's waving official-looking papers, acting like she owns my driveway. "We pride ourselves on maintaining property values," she chirps. What she doesn't mention is her husband's law firm specializes in defending the kind of criminals I spent 3 decades hauling off to jail. And what she really doesn't know is the welfare deadbeat in front of her still carries a badge and can make life a whole lot more complicated than a missing generator. But the violation notice, that was the first grenade. Printed up full of legalese dinging me for wind barriers during community showcase periods. Turns out those periods are any time a potential buyer might be driving through. So the HOA makes up rules faster than snow can fall, prioritizing curb appeal over, keeping folks alive in a blizzard. But it was more than just pettiness. This was a campaign to force out anyone who didn't fit Felicia's vision of suburbia. Now, if you've ever worked quality control, you spot what's wrong faster than you spot what's right. I started noticing things: pool without proper safety equipment, playgrounds with no inspection tags, electrical lighting installed by someone who cared more about appearances than safety. Called the health department, no records. Called the city on my own violations. Turns out Felicia and her gang were making it up as they went. Every step I took to address real safety issues, she doubled down on fines and threats, even tried to claim I was harassing the board for asking why the playground could collapse on a kid's head. Here's where it twists. I start digging. Find out the board's been funneling tens of thousands of dollars for aesthetic upgrades to her husband's landscaping business. Only he's not licensed for half the work. Unpermitted electrical projects, uninspected playgrounds, money moving in chunks just small enough to dodge homeowner oversight. I'm talking fraud, not just bad management. The more I dug, the more the numbers didn't add up. $120,000 on beautification, $87,000 of it going straight to Richmond Landscaping, owned by Felicia's husband, who, by the way, let his license lapse 8 months back. That's called self-dealing. And in Texas, that's a crime. So I gathered it all: photos, invoices, emails, copies of the board's own records. And I tried, God help me, I tried to work it out privately. Sent polite emails, asked to talk it over, gave them every chance to fix things before it got ugly. Instead, they threatened me with legal action, banned me from the community pool I helped pay for, accused me of harassment and defamation. They even went after my kids, calling their school to inquire about their stability, hinting that maybe I wasn't fit to be a father. That's when I stopped being polite. I started filing complaints. State Licensing Board, Health Department, Fire Marshal, EPA, Attorney General. Each agency, each complaint, each file cross-referenced and documented until there was a paper trail so thick you could pave a road with it. The response was immediate emergency inspections, phone calls from fire marshals and code enforcers, pool closures, even a multi-agency fraud investigation. Felicia tried to flip the script, rallying the neighborhood, painting herself as the victim of a vindictive resident. Claimed my complaints would cost everyone thousands, tank property values, maybe even get their taxes raised. Neighbors started calling, scared, confused, worried they'd lose their homes. But a few, the ones with kids, the ones who'd seen their own safety concerns ignored, started speaking up. Turns out folks notice when a pool is unsafe, even if they're scared to say it out loud. Felicia doubled down, creating fake companies to send me threatening letters, recruiting neighbors to inspect my property, sending strangers to my door with clipboards pretending to be from non-existent safety organizations. I called my lawyer, handed over the mess, and kept every receipt. Because by now, it wasn't just about me, it was about my boys, my neighbors, the kids playing on a dangerous playground. Then came the showdown. Emergency HOA meeting, every seat filled, people standing in the back, tension so thick you could cut it with a snow shovel. Felicia came in with PowerPoint slides and a stack of handouts, spinning the narrative like a politician in an election year. But I wasn't alone. The fire marshal, health inspector, detective from the AG's office, all in the back row, notebooks open. I stood up, folder in hand, and laid it all out. Code violations, missing safety equipment, $300,000 in fraudulent contracts, all tied back to Felicia and her husband. Played recordings of her fake inspectors. Handed out copies of reports, 12 electrical code violations, pool closures, criminal negligence. The room went silent, then exploded with anger, not at me, but at her. The board voted her out right then and there. New leadership, new priorities, immediate repairs, transparency meetings, safety first every time. Turns out the insurance company paid for most of the repairs once they learned how close we came to disaster. Seems they don't like unlicensed electrical work any more than I do. Felicia and her husband faced criminal charges, restitution, and left town in disgrace. What started as a petty grudge ended up exposing one of the biggest HOA fraud cases in Texas. But here's the lesson, and it didn't come easy or cheap. Safety isn't a luxury. It's the basic thing we owe each other as neighbors, as humans. The minute you let someone prioritize appearances or profit over safety, you're asking for trouble. And sometimes doing the right thing means getting called every name in the book, standing alone in the storm, and refusing to back down even when they come after your family. Our little community learned that lesson the hard way. But we came out better: block parties, real emergency plans, a safety fund for local kids, neighbors actually talking and watching out for each other. My boys saw what it looks like to stand up for what's right, even when it hurts. And if I'm honest, I found a little redemption in the mess too, turned my knack for compliance into a career helping other folks avoid the same disasters. So let me ask you, where do you draw the line? Have you seen an HOA or board put profit or looks ahead of real safety, or go after someone for simply speaking up? Where does accountability stop, and where does bullying begin? Drop your stories below. The more we share, the harder it is for folks like Felicia to get away with it. And hey, if this struck a nerve, stick around, there's more where this came from. Because the next time someone tells you protecting your family is disruptive, remember the real disruption is letting pride and power trump what's right. Stand up, speak out, and don't ever apologize for doing the thing that keeps your people safe. Thanks for hearing me out.